Before the sun rises over Lagos, before the noise of traffic and the shouting of bus conductors fill the air, before polished shoes step out of expensive cars at the school gate, there is already life on the roadside. There is smoke rising from hot oil. There is the soft crackling sound of Akara frying. And there is a boy standing beside his mother. Ebuka was only 11 years old, but responsibility had already shaped his shoulders. Every morning at 4:30 a.m., while most children were still asleep, he woke up to help his mother, Nkechi, prepare Akara, bean cakes, to sell in front of a private school. Akara was not just food, it was survival, it was school fees, it was rent, it was hope. Nkechi mixed the ground beans carefully, her hands moving with the skill of someone who had done this for years. The charcoal stove glowed red in the dim morning light. Ebuka arranged old newspapers neatly on a tray, preparing it for the golden balls of Akara that would soon come out of the bubbling oil. "Be careful, my son," Nkechi would say softly. "I am careful, Mama," Ebuka would reply, always with a calm smile. By 6:30 a.m., they were already standing in front of the school gate. Cars lined up, drivers stepped out, children in crisp uniforms laughed as they hurried into classrooms. Ebuka wore the same uniform, but before entering school, he sold Akara. He balanced the tray carefully and called out to customers respectfully. Some students bought from him. Some parents did too. Others simply walked past without looking at him. When the first bell rang, he handed the remaining tray back to his mother, wiped his hands quickly, picked up his school bag, and ran into class. He never complained. He never felt ashamed. He understood something many adults do not understand, that helping his mother was an honor, not a burden. One morning, everything changed. A sleek black SUV pulled up at the school gate. It was the kind of car that made people turn their heads. Inside sat Mr. Okafor, a successful businessman, dropping off his son. As he stepped out, he noticed something unusual. A boy in uniform, still selling Akara, while others were already inside. Mr. Okafor watched quietly for a moment. Then he walked closer. "Young boy," he said gently, "why are you not in class?" Ebuka looked up. His fingers were slightly oily, but his eyes were steady. "Sir, I'm helping my mother. I will go in after we finish selling this batch." There was no shame in his voice, only responsibility. "What time do you wake up?" Mr. Okafor asked. 4:30 a.m., sir." "And you still come to school every day?" "Yes, sir." Mr. Okafor felt something shift inside him. He saw determination. He saw discipline. He saw himself many years ago, before success, before wealth, before comfort. That afternoon, instead of driving straight home, Mr. Okafor followed Ebuka at a distance. Ebuka walked through narrow streets, past small shops and uneven roads, until he reached a tiny one-room apartment. Nkechi was outside washing the frying pan. When Mr. Okafor introduced himself, she was nervous. "Has my son done something wrong?" she asked quickly. "No," Mr. Okafor replied with a small smile. "Your son has done something very right." Inside their small home, the walls were cracked, the furniture simple, but everything was neat. There was dignity in that room. There was effort. Mr. Okafor asked about Ebuka's dreams. Nkechi's eyes filled with tears. "My son is brilliant," she said quietly, "but life is hard. I don't want poverty to steal his future." That day, Mr. Okafor made a decision that would change 3 lives. He offered to help, not out of pity, but out of belief. He paid Ebuka's school fees, he bought textbooks, he arranged extra lessons after school. He visited occasionally, not as a stranger, but as someone invested in a future. But he also said something important. "Ebuka, never stop helping your mother. It is not shameful. It builds character." Ebuka nodded. He understood. Secondary school was not easy. There were long nights of studying. There were days he felt exhausted. There were classmates who whispered and laughed, calling him Akara boy. It hurt, but every time he felt discouraged, he remembered his mother's burnt fingers from hot oil. He remembered waking up before sunrise. He remembered the trust in Mr. Okafor's voice. So he studied harder. While others slept, he read. While others played, he revised. He refused to allow his story to end on the roadside. When his WAEC results came out, he had distinctions. The day he received his admission letter to university, Nkechi cried like she had never cried before, not because she was sad, but because, for the first time, the future felt bigger than survival. University life was challenging, lectures were demanding, expenses were high. There were moments when pressure felt overwhelming. But compared to waking up at 4:30 a.m. to fry Akara before school, nothing seemed impossible. He pushed forward. He joined study groups. He spent hours in the library. He asked questions. He stayed disciplined. During holidays, he returned home and still helped his mother sell Akara. Customers began to whisper, "That is the university boy." Nkechi would smile quietly. In his final year, the pressure intensified. Projects, exams, expectations. The night before his final paper, Ebuka sat alone and thought about everything. From charcoal smoke, to lecture halls, from roadside sales, to academic excellence. He whispered softly, "Thank you, Mama. Thank you, sir." Graduation day arrived. The lesson. This story teaches us there is dignity in hard work. One act of kindness can change a destiny. Community is powerful. Education is a bridge out of poverty. Never despise humble beginnings. Sometimes greatness starts beside a frying pan. Sometimes destiny smells like Akara. And sometimes all it takes is one boy who refuses to give up.